And briefly describe the 270 degree, which gives the guards better vision of everybody, right?
Yeah.
Can you explain what it looks like?
It's like 5 buildings. 5 buildings, they're all like designed and, where the gun towers are facing the yard. You have 4 buildings, and the 5 building was the ASEG building. And so we opened it up. This is people that already been down for years already. Pelican Bay, Folsom. And the people that they hire, the COs, were all new to this. So they treating these grown men like they're in camp or YA, like juveniles. And so eventually it became to a boiling point where the inmates basically just took flight on the cops. And that set the tone. I think Calipat right now has the most officer assaults than any other prison in California history. If I'm mistaken, correct me on that, but I don't think I am.
So how would you compare Calipat from Old Folsom?
Calipat was wild, man. It was open. It had its prison. Same mentality. Like I said, they opened it up with people from Pelican Bay, Folsom, New Folsom, Old Folsom. And so.
No boxing program though, huh?
No boxing program, no none of that. You know what I mean? They wouldn't give us packages, the food was messed up. It was a lot of stuff, and I caught my first shoe from there. So after the riots in '92, I wasn't even there long. I catch a shoe program. And then catch another shoe program while I was in ASEG because, we were sharing the yard with the North Daniels and the Bulldogs, and they took off on one of the homies, and so we had to go to the ASEG yard and retaliate.
Against the Bulldogs?
Yeah. Because they separated themselves, from the North Daniels, the Bay Area. Started coming up under the Sereno umbrella. So in prison, it's politics. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I heard recently that they're not under any umbrella now.
Because at that particular time, they were.
They switched over at that time.
Yeah.
Okay. And one of them took flight on one of the homies?
Yeah, a couple of them took flight on one of the homies. That was,
And do you know, what is that all about? Like, what's the purpose of that?
They had to establish that they were no longer a part of the North Daniel structure. And so they were no longer part of, because we functioned with the North Daniel. They came on our yards, you know what I mean? So we shared the yard with them. When they came up under that umbrella, they no longer shared the yard with us, and so they had to do what was ordered for them, I guess. I don't know.
So yeah, that's because now they're functioning with the Sureños and the blacks, the Southern California blacks and the Sureños, for whatever reason,
didn't get along.
They don't get along. Never on the same yard together.
It's respect there.
Yeah.
But as soon as there's some disrespect, 9 times out of 10 it's gonna get cracking, unless it's some, some cooler heads prevail. You know what I mean?
So one of your shoe programs was over the Fresno Bulldog situation.
Yeah, I had caught another shoe with that. Yeah.
And how many months do you got to sit in the shoe?
I went to Corcoran Shoe from Calipatria ASEG, and I stayed in there for 18 months.
What's that like? What's that isolation like?
I stayed in that shoe. I had an 18-month shoe, but I ended up doing like 10 months, 12 months on that. It was crazy, you know what I mean? But it was still prison. You're still locked up. You know what I mean? I had a celly, concrete bunks side by side. I was in there doing that whole gladiator fight, setting up fights, all that. I was in there from 92 to 95. Well, 92 to 94, I got out for 3 months, went to the Hatchie Mac, caught another shoe and went right back and got out in 95.
Does the isolation in the shoe mess with you mentally?
It does, all that mess with you mentally. Being locked up mess with you mentally. I used to tell people, I used to cringe when I hear people say, "Oh man, you got 3 hots in the cot." I said, listen, you can give me all the amenities of whatever you think an inmate or convict shouldn't have in prison, right? And it still wouldn't add up to my freedom. Every molecule in your body instinctively resists against bondage. I'm just instinctively resist against bondage. That's a lot of stress. A lot of stress on your body, a lot of stress on your mental, right? What happens is that a lot of individuals are in denial about why they're in prison. And they can't come to that acceptance. So they get on psych meds to numb out. You know what I mean? They do stupid, crazy shit to try to act like, you know what I mean? They keep going back and forth to the hole because they don't want to function with the population. You know, it's a mental health issue, most definitely.
At that time, though, you weren't viewing it as such.
I've accepted the fact that I'm probably spend the rest of my life in prison, and this how I'm gonna do it. So that was my thing.
So you weren't expecting them to parole you after your 15 years?
I wasn't looking at it like that. I was catching more time.
Yeah.
I'm like, y'all put me in here to be a savage. That's what I'm gonna be. I'm gonna be a savage.
So when you go to the hole, they write you up like 114s?
115.
115s. So every time you get one of those, your points go up?
Yeah. I have 42 write-ups.
And how does that impact your board hearings and the amount of time that you already got?
Oh man, it impacts it very bad. It's a huge impact. They come just talking about you got 42 write-ups. What are you doing? I know people that had 100-some write-ups, right? I have 42 write-ups, you know, and a lot of shoe terms I got was suspended shoes. So if I add up all the shoe terms that I got, and ones I stayed in ASEG, and then they suspended the rest and all that type of stuff, I done did about maybe 8 shoe terms.
And those aren't looked favorably at the board?
No.
Yeah, I'm assuming you got to have no shoe terms if you're expecting to go home, right?
Yeah, you got to have, I mean, it needs to, no, let me put it this way. If you have no history, no 115s at all, they look bad on that. Because they look at it like you're trying to manipulate the system. Right? They want to see a turn. This is what I found out later on. They wanted to see a turn. I went to the board one time, and they told me, said, this how long you've been programmed. This how long you've been in prison. This how long you've been programmed. Do you see a problem with that? I was like, he said, you dug yourself a pretty big hole. You're going to have to dig yourself out. And I'm like, okay.
So you're catching all these shoe terms in the first 5 years of you being in prison.
First, like,
so how much more?
the first, like, 15, 16, 18 years, I don't know. Yeah.
So what do you think was the source of all this activity for the first, decade while you're in there?
Thanks for watching StreetTV.net. If you're not subscribed, please hit that button below and click the bell to receive alerts and notifications. Feel free to comment below so you can give us your feedback, and be sure to watch the 2 related episodes to the right. If you want to support this platform or follow us on social media, visit the links in the description. And thanks for watching StreetTV.net.